Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. It's going to be a great Monday. We've got World Series to talk about, Monday Night Football. We've got some basketball to talk about on today's show. I see you, Eric, David, Rick Funcannon, Michael is in here, Farzad, Stephen Cook, Liddy. Well, we got to bring in the stars of the show, but before we do that, let's take a look at the recap screen. It's a busy recap screen here. 7-11-2. We had a nice week last week. This isn't a nice day, though. We lose some money here. I do want to point out we had some plus money picks here. Shout out to Danny Brasco. He went 1-2-2, but the one he hit was a plus 190. A couple of these, at least one of these SportsLine picks was a plus money play as well. Now, I missed 2 out of 3 here, but I'll mention the one prop I had on here was a loss, but I hit 3 out of 4. It just so happens the other 3 were not on this show. So you want to be a SportsLine member to catch all of the picks, but we have to improve on 7-11-2. Scott Davis says it all. It's Equinox Day, which means we got to have a pick in every sport, and we've got just the team to do it. We've got some SportsLine picks as well. We got Larry Hartstein. We got Matt Snyder, who is reporting from Los Angeles. We'll be at the game in a few hours doing his pregame routine, if you will. We've got PropStarz. We've got Mike McClure. I'm not even sure where to start here, but Larry, I am going to start with you because I always like to get some reaction from NFL Sunday. Obviously, we got Commanders Chiefs tonight. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I want to hit on 3 points. One is that I think we realize now that there is an actual downgrade from Michael Penix to Kirk Cousins, from Bryce Young to Andy Dalton. The market was telling us all week there's basically no difference between these quarterbacks, but those differences did show up on the field. I want to give the most cowardly coach award of the 21st century to Mike McCoy. 4th and 3 from the Colts 43, down 10 in a lost season. Let's pump the ball for 20 yards of field position. And you saw the reaction from Cam Ward. I don't know if you caught it. He was like, he had some, colorful words, and they said, go for it. And of course, Jonathan Taylor took it 80 yards on the next play, which is exactly what the Titans deserved. And I'm in a kind of a down mood, and I'm sure so is PropStarz, because we got knocked out of Circa Survivor yesterday. Made a great decision to pivot off the Falcons and get to the Bengals, which didn't turn out to be a great decision. I just want to remember how I talked about Yoshivash and that narrative after that 3-drop game that he was going to come back, and he did. That was a few weeks ago. Well, he had 3 drops again, including 4th down with still a chance to win the game. Drops a perfectly thrown pass from Flacco. I won't get over this one for a long time.
Well, if you're talking about the 4th down on the last play, I mean, I don't know about a perfect pass. And also, I think he would have been down before I don't think he ran the 10 yards to get the first down. I think he was a few inches short there. That's just my take there. PropStarz. Okay, so you lost Survivor as well. You were in it with Larry. That comeback was crazy. Any reaction to NFL Sunday?
Heartbreaking loss in the Survivor. Obviously, Larry summed it up very well. Another very interesting Sunday. Went 3-1 on my props, so was a solid weekend. But there was nothing really jump out. Looking forward to a great night of football tonight, though.
3-1 on my props, 3-1 on your props. You love to see it. Don't forget to catch the prop show every Friday at 1:00. Mike McClure, I think you just made a comment. Should be illegal to punt from the 40-yard line or better.
Yeah, I mean, in between the 40s, like it should be illegal to punt. Like we want scoring, we want action. I think it should be illegal to punt from between the 40s.
Sniper, talk to me. You are in Los Angeles. You're getting ready to go to Game 3. Excited? I mean, this is kind of business as usual for you, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I still get excited though. I mean, I go back to my first World Series, which was 2011, the Rangers Cardinals, and I remember I saw a few guys who were older, and it felt like they were annoyed to be there, and they hated that they had to write something. And I told myself then, I'm never, ever, ever going to get like that. I'm always going to have fun. I'm never going to take this for granted. I feel blessed to be here, and I'm still doing it. I still believe that. I still get the chills every time a team takes the field for the first time when I'm at the World Series. So I'm looking forward to that tonight.
All right. I wonder if Liddy is going to be there. I see he's in the chat. He's excited to meet up with you. Are you going to be able to meet up with him?
Absolutely. I'll find the time before the game.
Awesome.
That's absolutely fantastic. Big shout out to Liddy, big Dodgers fan, big Los Angeles fan in general, right, Liddy? But also a big fan of this show. You talk about feeling lucky and feeling, I don't know if these were the words you used, but privileged and excited. That's how I feel about getting to do this show. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and get to some picks. We're going to start with some football. We're going to get to some baseball and some NBA picks. Of course, we got some SportsLine picks as well. Larry, we got to start with you. This is interesting because we want to welcome all the questions about Monday Night Football and really anything else. But it just so happens your pick and my pick pertain to Kansas City running backs. I'm going to let you start us off, though.
Well, rookie Brashard Smith has seen his role increase week by week. Andy Reid has been talking him up. 28 snaps last week. That was the most he's had all season. Now, part of that was the Raiders game. It was a blowout, so why not give the rookie more chances? But I just love him because he was a wide receiver at Miami before he transferred to SMU and became a running back. So I'm going over his receiving yards yet again. He's had 21 or more in 4 straight games. He's had 3 catchers or more in 4 straight games. They can line him up in the slot. He can catch it out of the backfield. He's very good with the ball in his hands. And the Commanders given up over 11 yards per catch to running back. So there is a chance if he only gets 1 catch that he could do this, because that's the second highest yards per catch allowed in the entire NFL by the Commanders. So I just love this guy. The problem with him is you're not going to see him on the field, and it's going to be frustrating. And this is what happened last time, but he's still cash because when he gets on the field, there's a great chance he's touching the ball. So let's go over 15.5.
Yeah, I mean, when you're right, when he's on the field, I mean, it's almost like every pass play. When Brashard Smith is on the field, you can pretty much look to make sure the ball's going that way. Now, Mike, I know you have some reaction to Brashard Smith in particular, but before you get there, let me just give out my play, because I do think there's room for Brashard Smith to have success running the ball, but also in your case, Larry, catching the ball. But what I also think is, and again, most of his snaps, most of his rushing attempts were in the fourth quarter in a blowout. Now, you could get that same situation potentially here. Either way, I like Isaiah Pacheco over 11.5 rush attempts. I put this over on SportsLine last night. I think 12 rush attempts in this particular game is very, very attainable. First of all, game script wise, I think we're looking at a neutral or positive game script, which certainly favors the running game. And as much as I like Patrick Mahomes to pass the ball around, I mean, his completions prop is in that 22.5, 23 range. I still think we're going to see a lot of running, because I think we're going to see a lot of play volume from the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's because I don't think this Washington defense is going to have a good time getting off of the field. I think we're going to see a lot of extended drives, short area passing, but also a lot of running from Pacheco. He's hit this in, let's see, his last 2 games, he's had 12 and 15 rush attempts. And I think he gets there again. I do think Brashard Smith may get in the game here and there, but I think that role is probably going to be relegated to a receiving role. And maybe if it gets out of hand, maybe he'll get some of those as well. Kareem Hunt had to leave last week with a bit of an ankle injury. So I don't think he's going to be a huge factor in this one. And frankly, I think this is going to be a pretty vanilla game script from the Kansas City Chiefs with the Bills on deck. All right, let me go to the Chiefs expert here, because you just heard about 2 running back takes, Mike, and I'm sure we'll get to your takes on the game later. But any reaction to these Brashard Smith or Isaiah Pacheco picks?
Yeah, I like Smith a lot. I think he becomes RB1 in this offense. Whether it happens tonight or not remains to be seen. I think it'll certainly happen after the Buffalo game, after the bye week. By the time they play Denver, that will be a spot there. I think he's clearly more explosive. Mahomes likes him a lot and really trusts him a lot. So I think he's out there. As far as Pacheco, I think he could definitely still get the rushing attempts. I think the game could be pretty lopsided in this particular spot tonight. I think the situation you really want for a Pacheco over rushing attempts is just any sort of 1st and goal situation. I think that they'll just go ahead and let Pacheco score tonight. I think that'll happen. But I like Smith and his explosive ability. If you have any sort of options in terms of longest rush, longest reception, I like both of those looks on him as well. Like a play like Larry's, I expect him to cash in one catch.
PropStarz, go ahead.
Yeah, big time Brashard fan as well. I think his role usage definitely going to increase as the season progresses, as Mike mentioned. There could be a switch soon. Certainly filling that sort of Jerick McKinnon role, which is very valuable in an Andy Reid offense. They traditionally love to target running backs out of the backfield, so it definitely has a skill set that's very complementary for what the Chiefs like to do on offense. But the praise has really been on Smith's ability in pass protection is really improving before our very eyes. So that really leads to additional playing time on the field. So I think his arrow is pointed directly up. Appears to be very explosive and dynamic out of the backfield, certainly catching passes. So I like this look as well.
All right. We got some love for the Kansas City Chiefs in general. Fire away in terms of your questions. This line, I think now 10.5, 11, depending on where you look. But I think this is an intriguing game. Again, we can answer any of your questions here. Yeah, at BetMGM, of course, that is the sponsor of the show. Make it legendary. The spread is 11 and the total is 48. Let's transition, and we'll get back to football in a little bit. Let's transition to some basketball. PropStarz, if you don't mind, you do have a basketball pick today, correct? Let's talk about it because we got some basketball picks in the chat. Dillard Hart says Zion over 25.5 points and 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists is his favorite play of the day. Proppy, what's your favorite play of the day?
My favorite day is fading Tobias Harris. Such a large line, 15.5 points, which is available on a major sports book right now. 14.5 on most other books. Still comfortable playing this line. Again, just a big number for a veteran Tobias Harris at this point in his career. He's just really not that great as a secondary option in this Pistons offense. Then you face the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have one of the better defenses in the NBA. Hasn't shown up yet, albeit a very small sample, 3 games so far this season. But he's going to be primarily guarded by Evan Mobley, certainly one of the better defenders in the NBA. Last season, 3 head-to-head matchups with Evan Mobley, failed to eclipse 10 points, shot 7 of 27 from the field. So this is a highly inflated number here. I think this ultimately could settle down as low as 13.5. So I would grab this 15.5, still comfortable playing it at 14.5.
All right. We got Tobias Harris under 15.5 points at -122. I see Ben giving out some picks in the chat, NBA related as well. We'll take your NBA picks. We'll take your football picks, and we will take your Major League Baseball picks, which we got to get to that next. But let me get to some SportsLine picks real quick. Monday Night Football. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this number is still 23.5 everywhere, but we had Todd Furman. I think this was put up on SportsLine. Of course it was. First half over 23.5 at -125. I do know it's ticked up to 24.5 in some places, but try to find the 23.5 if you can. Ottawa Senators money line. This is juicy. -152. This one courtesy of Matt Severance. We got first half over 23.5 in Monday Night Football and an NHL pick. Ottawa Senators money line -152. BetMGM players will receive an any sport parlay boost for the 2025 Sports Equinox. Just create a parlay made up entirely of any sports wagers and activate the token. If you win, you'll get extra winnings. It's that easy. We got to get to some World Series Game 3. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Joshua Daves Martin says Commanders to cover and Chiefs to win. The Chiefs aren't covering big lines again, are they? Question mark. Interesting. So let's go to Mike real quick before we get to the baseball. Mike, can you talk to me about this line of 11? Is this a stay away for you, or it sounded like there might be an edge to actually take the Chiefs tonight based on what you said earlier?
You know, computer's got a little edge there. I make it closer to 13.5. I'm not playing it. The reason that I'm not playing it, I really, really think you see a very conservative game plan from Kansas City late if the game is under control. The Super Bowl is next week. And we've talked about it. It's the game on the road against the Buffalo Bills because of the start to the season, the way each of these teams, you know, Buffalo had that stretch losing to, Kansas City had that slow start. This game is significant. That is where all the resources will be focused. So while if it were a normal spot or if it were the Buffalo game in terms of that spot on the schedule the week before the bye, I'd have some interest there, but I'm going to stay away from the spread in this one at this point.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I like the Pacheco rush attempts. I thought it would be a pretty vanilla game script with the Kansas City Chiefs being able to run a lot of plays. Larry, go ahead.
Well, you got Terry McLaurin, you got Deebo Samuel coming back. You have Marcus Mariota, who I'm going to throw out the game against Dallas when he came into a bad situation. They were already way down. You look at his 2 starts, they put up a ton of points, 27 and 41. He also played well last year when he came in. He had 1 game against the Panthers. So this is a guy, this is not your average backup quarterback. And getting those 2 key weapons back changes everything, especially with Deebo available in the running game. You have another threat in Bill and McLaurin. I mean, they missed him badly. So I really think that the line is inflated at over 10.5. You know, anything over 10 feels a little bit inflated. Mike talked about the spot. You come off a division game against kind of a bitter rival. You hate the Raiders. You put it on them, and then you have the Bills on deck. So this is kind of a weird spot for Kansas City. I could definitely see, 30-20, a 10-point win for KC.
Yeah, I agree. It's an inflated line. I mean, that's part of the reason the line went down. It was 12.5 yesterday. Some pro money came in to knock it down to 10.5, now 11. So, this is a lot of points. Mariota's not, I don't really have a play on this game from a spread standpoint, but Mariota's not, he's certainly a backup quarterback, but he's not your typical backup quarterback. And that's based on the fact that he's got a ton of experience, and not just experience in general, but experience in this Washington system as a starter. So, who would you rather have? Marcus Mariota or Trevor Lawrence in this spot? I think it's close. I'm just saying. All right, let's get to some baseball. Sniper, talk to me.
Yeah, I'm going to go just over 2.5 earned runs for Max Scherzer here on the mound for the Blue Jays. A good hitting environment in Dodger Stadium. Even last round, when a lot of the talk after game 3 or 4, when Scherzer started, I think it was 4, it was, man, what an amazing outing for Scherzer. He turned back the clock. He was great. He still gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings. He walked 4, and that was in T-Mobile Park, a very, very good pitcher environment. Now we go to Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers do have a better offense than the Mariners. Even if it's just a little bit, they do have a better offense. And I think they're still kind of like lying in the weeds. We're looking for a big inning here from the Dodgers, and I think we're going to get it sometime soon. And so I'll say that we get one against Scherzer here, and it's plus money. So I really like this play. Look, I love Max Scherzer. He's a Hall of Famer. I'm going to vote for him to be in the Hall of Fame someday. But the bottom line is he's 41 years old. He had a 5.1819 ERA in the regular season, and this is a good Dodgers offense and a good hitting environment. I think they're going to throw a crooked number on the board pretty early here.
All right. We're looking to Scherzer over 2.5 earned runs at plus 117. Now, Mike, you've got to play in this game. And if I remember seeing it, you don't want a Scherzer blow-up spot in the first inning.
I would prefer it to not be in the first inning. We can take it in the second or third. My concern with Max Scherzer personally is going to be any time that lineup sees him a second time that night. That's going to be the real issue for me. So I went no run first inning or under half a run in the first inning of this World Series game. I played at minus 115. BetMGM actually has a boost. I think you have to click on it and activate it to bring that to minus 110. I project the number minus 135, a number you typically see in a World Series game like this or late postseason game like this, particularly when you've got at least one ace on the mound, which is certainly the case on the side of the Dodgers here. Really just a price point play for me. I get that you're fading Ohtani, Freeman, Vladdy, and Springer. It's clearly the top 6 hitters. This is, again, a bet that we play over a lot during the regular season. But in some of the cooler weather in the postseason, this is one that I like. I like this pitching matchup. I think Max can have a decent outing for the first, trip through the order here. I do not expect them to let him try and pitch terribly deep in this. I think the hook will be very quick if it's not going well. But I do like a scoreless first inning here, again, at this price point. It's mostly the price point. If you guys are familiar with this market, you're generally paying $1.35 in a spot like this. So give me no run first inning here. Again, boost on BetMGM. Will take it to minus 110.
Boosted on BetMGM. Larry, I want to go back to football real quick, and you're telling some people in the chat that might not have seen your SportsLine pick on Mariota earlier. You probably put it in yesterday, but you can clarify that. You put in his over, and this is Marcus Mariota, over 23.5 rushing yards on SportsLine. And again, this is as much you talking about it as it is an ad for SportsLine, because anytime PropStarz or you, sometimes me, whoever, Mike, is putting a pick on SportsLine, these odds can shift pretty fast. So talk to me about that Mariota pick, where it was and where it is now.
Yeah, it was 23.5. I bet it last week. I think it was Thursday or Friday. Now we're seeing 28.5, 29.5. I mean, just look, he's had a 22-yard run, a 22-yard run, and a 25-yard run in each of his 3 appearances this season. I mean, he's going to have designed runs. The Chiefs give up a ton of scrambles because they blitz fifth or sixth highest blitz rate. They play a lot of man coverage. They induce scrambling from quarterbacks. So I think he could get it on a design. He could get it on a scramble. I would pivot maybe if you still want to play it to the longest rush, over 11.5. And again, he's had 3 already this year that have been basically twice that amount. So that's a look I like if you don't feel comfortable now that the line has moved, 5 or 6 yards.
Yeah, I like Mariota in this one as well to rush. I like the rush attempts, and I like Mariota in the short area passing game. I do think they're going to try to establish the run for sure, but I think that includes Marcus Mariota. There's a lot of little things I like in this game. It's interesting. We have a lot of people watching. We don't have a lot of NFL prop questions, which, I mean, this is the forum to do it. So we could use more. I mean, we have some, but if you all have NFL prop questions, like for example, I kind of like Rashee Rice. I like Rashee Rice receptions. I think Xavier Worthy's really interesting, although I worry about the shoulder injury a little bit. But I think his yardage of in the mid-40s, low 40s is interesting. I think Jeremy McNichols, if we're going to talk Brashard Smith, I think in a negative game script, Jeremy McNichols' receiving yards prop at 10.5 is kind of low. Receptions prop, I think, is 1.5. I prefer the yards there. There's a lot we can consider in this game, but let's toggle back and forth among sports here. Rick Funcannon, PropStarz, says Durant over 25.5 points. He basically is saying this: he's facing his old team. It's a second day of a back-to-back for the Nets. Might be a blowout, but he thinks Durant gets there first. What are your thoughts there?
I think the number's efficient, frankly. Yeah.
Okay.
A big number for Kevin Durant. Certainly can get there. I try not to really factor in narrative when I'm talking about a player facing his old team, because Durant, that'd be almost half the league at this stage of it.
That's so true. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I just echo that on Durant. At this point in his career, in this offense and that team, 25 is a big number. If you're feeling a situation like that, it's kind of interesting, because to get that, you generally are going to have to be super efficient to get there. I would maybe look at some of the attempt numbers, some of the other, if you can find shot attempts, things like that. I know it's a market that's not always available anymore, but I would be very cautious with a guy like Durant. He will certainly have flashes. He'll have a couple 40-point games this season, but it's all going to be situations where he starts 7 of 7 from the field in the first 12 minutes of the game. If he doesn't do that, it's going to be an uphill battle to really get there.
See, I love.
So at that point, you could live bet, essentially. If you see a hot start from him where there's some sort of special milestone, potentially like another 40-point game, I'm okay leaning into that in a live scenario. But pregame, I think it's going to be really difficult to bet anything but unders on KD.
This is why we love the questions and the comments from you all on the early edge, because whether we like the bet or not, we get a lot of dialogue here in terms of how you should bet this, live betting it, things of that nature. Mike, I want to stick with you, because M3 Baller says, does Kelsey produce for tight end day? Now, I don't know that it's tight end day on a Monday, but either way, that whole narrative, we talked about it, or a lot of people talked about it yesterday. His receiving yard total is in that 41 to 45 range. Not something I looked at in particular. How about you?
Yeah, not something I've looked at a lot. It's interesting, again, because having Rashee Rice back is going to help Travis Kelce a lot. I don't know that it helps him a lot in this game in terms of volume. I think he has a big play in this game. I would be more inclined to bet his longest reception over, which has really started to dwindle down because of the way he's played over the last, half year. But yeah, I don't think there's any sort of extra motivation to get him in the end zone for tight end today.
His longest reception, Mike, is actually a little higher than I thought it would be. It's 18.5. Do you still like it at that number?
I would lean there still, but not Certainly not something I played. Not going to make my card there, but I think he has one decent play in him tonight.
Interesting. I'm seeing BetMGM is the only place that has Tyquan Thornton numbers, and they have Tyquan Thornton's longest reception at 2.5, and I think that's because they're predicting him not to have a reception. So I'm sure if they have a reception line on him, it's probably a half. I think Tyquan Thornton is always good for a deep shot. So if I was going to ladder something or have an anytime touchdown situation with like a 40+ yardage, I know Tyquan's not seeing the field quite as much, but I still think he does see the field. Just something to consider there. All right, let's see. We've got first half -6.5 Kansas City, says Michael. Larry, do you have any thoughts on a halftime bet on Kansas City to cover the 6.5?
I really don't. I do think that the Commanders are going to put up points in this game. I think they're going to give up points. So I don't really have a lean on that.
Let me ask you this, because Eric David, I know you have the rushing yards for Marcus Mariota over at SportsLine. Eric David wants to know, do you like Mahomes over 23.5 rushing yards at -110 or his 4.5 rush attempts at -120? Now, Larry, my initial impression here is that I don't think the pass rush is really going to get to Patrick Mahomes, and I think he's going to have time, and I think he's going to get the ball out pretty quick. I don't really love him in this game script. I don't really love him to get a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah, I agree with you. I prefer over 22.5 completions for Mahomes. You know, with Rashee Rice back, there were a lot of shorter routes. He had his highest completion percentage of the year, 74.3, completed 26 passes in a game where the Raiders did not push them at all. So that would be the look I like the most on Mahomes. And if you were going to do rushing, I prefer the attempts if you're going over, just because of the kneel down possibilities.
Let's go back to the World Series. Todd Klost says Jays, it's just talking about the total here, under 8.5, Jays, Dodgers.
I mean, yeah, that's got to be, I assume that's the entire total,
Yeah,
not just the team total 8.5.
Yeah.
That's tough, man. I could totally see both teams kind of going off in this one. Like, I think I lean over in this, but it seems like so many times the World Series is an under, other than game one, obviously, because you had the 9-run inning. I lean over on this one, but it's tough.
Mike, did you run any, what does your model say about this game or the total?
Slightest of underleans on that. If I were to play an under, it would be the first 5 under 4.5, fading that 5th run early. But yeah, just a slight under. I got it at 8.3. Not enough that I'd be comfortable in this spot playing an under 8.5.
And then Sniper, I'm going to go back to you. Glass now under 15.5 outs. Any thoughts there?
I'm inclined to take the over on that. I think the Dodgers are going to almost desperately try to get their starters through 6 innings. We saw Blake Snell kind of set the table for that huge Blue Jays inning in game 1 because the Dodgers were trying to get their starter later in the game. And then you saw Yamamoto with the complete game, now back-to-back complete games. First time since 2001, a pitcher had back-to-back complete games in the playoffs. So I think the Dodgers are going to try to get their pitchers through 6 innings, come hell or high water. So I would go over on that one. Also, there was a question, who's going to hit a home run tonight? I feel like there's multiple options. Of course, there are. One thing to consider here, Max Scherzer gave up a .545 slugging percentage to left-handed hitters during the season. Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, who is the all-time Dodgers postseason home run leader. One of those two guys would be good play. Obviously, Ohtani. But the Ohtani number is always really short. So maybe Freeman, maybe Muncy there.
Brad Merrill says, "See, are you going to build an SGP later for Monday Night Football?" He says he loves those. I mean, I haven't been hitting those, but most of them are pretty long odds. Yeah, I'll build one for later. I mean, it's my team. It's the Commanders. So I feel compelled to build one. Proppy, we missed the, what was it? The goose? Or Mike, yours was the donkey and PropStarz, yours was the goose. I feel like, Mike, anytime there's a Chiefs game, I feel like we need to bring back the donkey at the very least.
Yeah, we could potentially bring it back.
Proppy, how about you? Have you engaged? I know you're just crushing the straight props, which is what everybody should be betting as opposed to the parlays. We preach that a lot, but the parlays are fun. Are you ever maybe the next Eagles game? Can we expect maybe a goose?
Certainly getting into the same game parlay streets on occasion. I love a correlated parlay. Yeah, I do tend to wager on those closer to kickoff is the one caveat. So typically, it made more sense when we were doing primetime streams to release those. But the event that I have one, I would certainly share it for subscribers.
That sounds good. Actually, there is some injury news. Now, we know Kansas City, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. The right side of their line looks to be out. One of those guys we knew was going to be out. The other one, was out earlier this week. But we do need to keep an eye on, I think Sam Cosmi's going to play, but Deron Payne on the defensive line for Washington. If he's out, I just think it's going to be really easy for the Chiefs to run the ball. And I think it's going to be even easier for Mahomes as well. So something to keep an eye on there. It does look like he's tracking to play, but something to consider there. All right, let's get to our first touchdown scores, and then we'll see if we have any last-second questions here. I'm going with Isaiah Pacheco at plus 1,100. Listen, I do think typically Mahomes passes the ball, but I think this is a game script, and this is part of the reason I had the rush attempts, where Pacheco's just going to get a few more looks than people expect. I think it's going to be kind of a boring game plan from the Chiefs, and that just screams Isaiah Pacheco to me. Larry Hartstein, talk to me.
Well, Marcus Mariota has 19 rushing touchdowns in his career. He also has a receiving touchdown on a trick play. Those are ways that we can cash this plus 2,500. We talked earlier about the designed runs that they love to use with him. He's got 1 rushing touchdown in 2 games this year, 1 rushing touchdown in 2 games last year. So I think the value is there. And especially with the other weapons now that you have to worry about with Debo and Terry McLaurin, I think there's a shot, he takes it up the middle on a design run.
Larry, real quick before we move to Mike's pick, Luffy Mingo, I don't know if you're joining us late or if you're just asking about a different number, but if the line on Brashard Smith is 16.5, are you still comfortable taking it there?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I don't want to go much higher than that. Maybe 17.5 will be the limit there. But 21 or more in 4 straight, 3 catches or more in 4 straight, and his role is only expanding.
All right. Mike McClure, talk to me.
Brashard Smith. Look, I think that I like Pacheco as well. I like the Kansas City running game. I like a somewhat conservative play from Kansas City, but I like the upside that Brashard Smith has. I'm forecasting him to be on the field a little bit more tonight than he has been. And the upside that he has is just incredible. This number is plus 1,700 at BetMGM, down to plus 1,300 in a few spots around there. I expect this number to probably drop a little bit before kickoff. I think that he's going to be involved. Love Larry's look on the receiving yards. I think it will be a receiving touchdown to Brashard Smith from Patrick Mahomes.
Before we get to you, I want to confirm to you, Proppy. I want to confirm. So, Big Cheesy, you're saying Mahomes over 23.5 pass completions at minus 130. I'm a big fan of Mahomes completions. I stayed away from it today, but I do want to mention that 22.5s at minus 130 are out there, and that's a huge difference. So if you can find a 22.5 at minus 130, which they're out there at in fact, there's a 22.5 at minus 123. So go look at some of the major books and make sure you're getting the best pass completions line. That's one I'm staying away from. Because I think we're going to see some long extended drives and some running on both sides of the ball, but just something to consider. I want to make sure you get the best line. All right. PropStarz, Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy scored 13 touchdowns last season, including the postseason. 1 thus far throughout the season. Obviously, we know we're dealing with a shoulder injury. But yeah, he's got elite route participation in a Patrick Mahomes offense. So can't ask for a more favorable spot here. This defense certainly vulnerable on the back end. I think he benefits a tremendous amount from Rice being back on the field. Just more advantageous coverage situations, harder to double team him with Rice out there. So yeah, I think Xavier Worthy first touchdown and anytime touchdown around plus 180 is a good look.
The first play I was going to make for this game, before I even considered Isaiah Pacheco rush attempts, was Xavier Worthy's receiving yards in that 43, 44, 45 and a half range. And I still might make that play. I just got a little alarmed when, he had to leave the game last week. And then when I saw the practice report, he's full practice. And then it was that curious unspecified on like the Saturday practice report. And I was like, why are they Why are they doing that? And then I thought, okay, maybe if he gets tackled across the middle and aggravates the shoulder injury, like it looked like he might have last week, but then came back in the game. So there were some things that I didn't love. But if I hear some like promising news about Xavier Worthy as the day progresses, because you were talking about SGPs, right? You're waiting until closer to game time. I might just go ahead and put that straight play on SportsLine because Proppy, I totally agree with you. I think this could be an absolutely big Xavier Worthy game. And we know against this Washington defense, the way that these DBs play, you get in space and you might be gone. So it could be 2 catches for, 60 yards for Xavier Worthy and you'll call it a day. So that's, again, keep an eye on SportsLine. If you're not a member of SportsLine for some reason, go to sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners and you'll get 60% off the annual plan. PropStarz, go ahead.
Did want to mention really quickly, while yesterday was a big disappointment for Larry and I, Matthew Goldman's stat line was not a disappointment for Larry and I's season-long showdown on his receiving yards. So Larry looking a little bit shaken over there for sure. Just wanted to update the chat, as Larry likes to point out every time he has a quality game. So with the Packers wide receiver core getting healthier and healthier by the day, looks like I'm in pretty good shape.
I honestly feel like you should offer like a buyout because there's no way that's coming in now, Larry.
Well,
I mean,
he's have 200 yards on the season. He needs 725, I believe, to cash that bet. It's going to take a great matchup like the Cowboys or somebody like that, which he already had. But the Packers, I want to talk about how elite the Packers offense looked in the second half. And Jaden Reed hasn't even come back. But getting Christian Watson back, look how great Dobbs and Kraft and Jordan Love, 20 straight completions. That team definitely looks like a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of Tucker Kraft, phenomenal tight end. He is running so unbelievably hot right now on his per target efficiency. He is someone I'm going to be looking to fade, a major fade candidate heading into this week. Obviously, is going to depend on where his line ultimately populates and settles. But yeah, he's run extremely hot. Great player, but just considering this offense, his volume in the offense, the amount of big plays that he's been breaking off, these are not sustainable things long term. So he looks like a really good fade candidate to me.
I mean, the huge play he got early, I guess it was early in the second half, was like a broken play, and he pushed off and he caught it, and he ended up going, 53 yards. Deshaun Elliott gets injured on that play. I'm guessing he's out for the season based on how that looked. That was a very unfortunate course of events for the Steelers. There's also an offsides. That I felt like the game changed when there was a lack of an offsides call on the Green Bay Packers. But listen, Packers were the better team overall. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw it in the chat. It reminded me, gave me some life over here because I did play the Baltimore Ravens at -120 and then -130 and -135 to win the division. And what do you know? They are back to the favorites to win the division. Absolutely crazy. What a roller coaster. Potentially having Lamar back, not having Lamar back. There, you could still grab them -105 in a few spots, but just the outcome with Cincy blowing that game, the Steelers getting blown out last night. The Baltimore Ravens back to the favorite to win the NFC.
And they're 2-5.
And they're 2-5.
Patrick Hillier says not a push off ! Okay, fine. It probably shouldn't. Like, I'm not saying it should have been called. It did look kind of like a push off, but that's totally fair. Okay, let's end with this. We started. Well, we'll get to the recap screen in a second. Larry, give me the final word on how the Cincinnati Bengals. What was it? They allowed over 500 yards to the Jets, and we're up 38-24 with 9 minutes left.
I don't know
how does that happen?
I don't know why we're going back to this. I was like, I flushed it. I talked about it. I moved on. I'm already thinking about next season in Circa Survivor. I have no interest in discussing that game.
Okay, in that case, we're going to end with this because Ben put in the chat, NFL officiating was tough this weekend. PropStarz, were you able to see the quarterback sneak / tush push from Jalen Hurts where forward progress was deemed stopped, and it was clearly not, and it would have been the Giants ball in like a 7-7 game or 14-7 game, and then the game ended up getting out of hand. We saw the Scatterboo injury after that. Your thoughts on that play?
Look good to me. The Eagles have been on the other end of so many horrendous calls over the last couple of seasons, the Nick Sirianni era, so I think it's worth a pass at this point. And there's just been a lot of uneven officiating since week one. So it's hard to get over concerned over one missed call.
You're avoiding the question when your answer is, yeah, but what about this other thing 2 years ago? Yeah, I mean, okay. Like that really was bad. I made a comment on Twitter a few weeks ago that the tush push will be abolished at the summer meetings in May. I stand by that. I don't think the tush push is going to be a thing, or it's certainly going to be graded a lot differently, or going to be the rules are going to be a lot different on that play. I don't say that because I'm a Commanders fan. I say that because the optics are pretty
Maybe
bad.
we could outlaw slam dunks in the NBA as well.
Yeah.
Can I say
Sniper.
something about football officiating?
Yeah.
There's a shortage in officiating all across youth sports into high school. It's tough to find guys that you can promote into college because there aren't that many good ones, because not that many people do it anymore. So if you really, really like football and you have the time to learn how to officiate, I encourage you to go out and start doing it. It's really, really fun. It's rewarding to work with the kids. You can learn that it's way harder than it looks.
Yeah.
And it's I wish more people would get into it. I know it's easy to complain about the calls being terrible and everything, and sometimes they are. But it's really hard to do, and there's a shortage nationwide.
Oh, I totally agree with that. My whole take with the NFL is now you have replay assist, and now you have somebody in 10 or 15 or 20 seconds that can tell you that, no, forward progress was not stopped. A whistle was not blown. That should be the New York Giants ball. So I agree with you. Like, we can't just blame officials for everything. It's a hard sport to officiate across all sports. But when you have replay assist, you can fix it extremely quickly without interrupting the game. And that's what should have been done in that play and a lot of other plays, frankly. All right. Let's go to our recap screen, but a great point by Sniper. Honestly, think that is a really good point. Like, try to become an official. You get to work with kids and youth sports in general, and there's probably, like Matt said, a shortage of that. Isaiah Pacheco, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You also get to be yelled at by, unreasonable parents, for the entire game.
The funny thing is, if we don't get yelled at for an entire game, we're usually like, dude, that was no fun. We need people to yell at us.
I've got Isaiah Pacheco over 11.5 rush attempts at -124. Big Cheesy says Pacheco over 11.5 longest rush -115. I don't hate that at all. In fact, I don't hate Pacheco's rushing total in that high 40s. But a good call out by Big Cheesy there. Max Scherzer over 2.5 earned runs at +117, says the Sniper. Brashard Smith over 15.5 receiving yards -118, says Larry Hartstein. And Mike McClure going with Blue Jays Dodgers first inning. No run first inning at -115. Tobias Harris under 15.5 points, -122. That one from PropStarz. And it wouldn't be a Sports Equinox if we didn't have picks across the slate. We do have that first half over 23.5, -125 from Todd Furman. And the Ottawa Senators money line, -152. That one courtesy of Matt Severance. We got some first touchdowns. Pacheco, Mariota, Brashard Smith, and Xavier Worthy are our 4 first touchdown picks. Buckets is in the chat, joining us late. Buckets, what is up? We're going to need an INT prop from you. You can put that in the SportsLine Discord or, of course, on the Twitter later on. What a great show. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Sniper. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, PropStarz. And, of course, thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 6s and 7s. Joseph Akers, Snug the Cat, Chris Kish, Sean Ritchie, everybody, thanks for being in here. Thanks for hitting the like button. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday, always on the SportsLine YouTube channel. But don't forget, today at 12 o'clock, we've got our NFL Monday Night Football, a little bit of college football show there as well. That's the Early Edge on CBS Sports Network today at 12 o'clock. I'll be hosting. Mike will be there. Larry will be there. Proppy, are you on the show today as well?
I am not on the show today.
Proppy is not on it, but we'll have Mackenzie Brooks. Emery Hunt's going to stop by. We're going to have a lot to talk about. We'll see you there, and we'll see you on the Early Edge next time. Ladies and gentlemen, we rest our case.